Our next highlight is from Bryan Eisenberg. Go ahead and check it out. And remember that you can get all of the episodes full length at marketingoptimization.tv. Well, I'm very excited to have Bryan here with me today. Bryan Eisenberg is an online marketing pioneer. He's a best-selling author and the inventor of persuasion architecture. He's a very popular keynote speaker on conversion rate optimization. How you doing, Bryan?
I'm doing fantastic.
For anyone who doesn't know, let's give the people an explanation of persuasion architecture and how you got started doing web analytics.
So I think it's when not far after we started working with each other when I first invented the term persuasion architecture. And the concept was that, we had started doing traditional, using analytics to make simple changes to people's, landing pages and to their websites. And we realized there were limiting factors. And the limiting factor was that we were only improving basically what's called the local maxima, right? You can only improve what's there so much possible. So, if you've got a house that's a one-story shack, I'm not going to ever make it look like a mansion, right? It's just, you just can't do it.
Right.
And if you keep adding stuff to the one-story shack, eventually it's just the foundation is not right. And so what got built out was more of a whole philosophy, essentially, of thinking of design of the experience from the customer as the center of the universe, which I think is really critical. It's actually what my upcoming book is about in many ways. But then planning out what each part of the experience is going to look like. Everything from every click through to every piece of messaging that's correct, every piece of content that you develop, every image is in the right place, to the exact design, to the flow, and then tying all of it back into web analytics, because what we're essentially doing is creating one larger hypothesis of what we expect an experience to be like. And when the customer deviates from the expected hypothesis, then we say, okay, what went wrong? Was it one of our assumptions, or was it something in our execution? And so you start with testing the execution. And, I've never met somebody in a design process that didn't have more than one idea on how to do something right. You put those assumptions back in, you test them. If they don't move the needle, then it's probably one of your assumptions. And so then you have to come up with another hypothesis, fix the assumption, and then move on.
Yeah, and I think it's, that kind of ties into conversion rate optimization and the different ways that you're not assuming how you should design something and what assumptions are. And allowing the customer really to tell you how to get the best results from your designs, or how you, and so you're defining different buying modes for different people as they come in.
Right? Correct, but it's also more than that. And I think that, Alex, I think there's something that, you and I have discussed, and I know it's kind of a nuance. Design is an actual language, right? There's a real science behind design. And unfortunately, what I see with a lot of people who are going about, creating landing pages and even some of the commercial templates that are out there, they look okay, but they're not really following the science behind how people engage with a page, how people read, what little, bits of alignment make a difference. And when they don't know the core principles that even, the grand masters knew when they painted their paintings, right? There's nothing new about, the rule of thirds. There's nothing new about, the golden ratio. There's nothing new about, understanding, alignment and contrast, right? There's some core principles that when the designers who get focused in on this stuff and really understand it, they're really creating works of masterpiece that get so much better results than the average designer who's going to hack at it. And yeah, you can get some better improvements than what you have, but it's still not in an ideal state. And ideally, you want to work with somebody who really has that core understanding, that core vocabulary. And part of what we do when we go into companies, we work with designers, make sure they understand that vocabulary, because not everything in design is, just for looks, right? There's real solid psychology behind it.